Many know about slavery, but few discuss paper genocide. We did not all come from Africa, and most of us have Aboriginal roots that were stripped away due to reclassification and miseducation. As a native Black American and a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation, I understand the importance of tracing your lineage. If you want to learn how to trace your genealogy and apply for tribal citizenship, go to nativeblackancestry.com to schedule a consultation.
They don't want you to remember this. You not no slave, you indigenous. Fuck how they painted them Indians. You went to war with the French and the British, man. Quite frankly, you was kings, Merovingians. They took the women and men, made them prisoners, raised up the children to worship their images, set up a lab to the genes and they mixed them, and this shit get way deeper than your pigment.
For too long, we've been told a false story about who we are. The mainstream line says Black Americans come from Africa, shipped over in chains, disconnected from this land. But the truth is finally undeniable. Our ancestors left the receipts. We have the records. We've got names on rolls, on censuses, on treaties. We've got oral traditions passed down from our grandparents and great-grandparents who told us plainly, we are indigenous to this land. Not once did they speak of Africa. They spoke of towns, rivers, ball games, clans, families right here in the Americas. Now that the truth is rising, Pan-Africans have shifted their strategy. They can't ignore our presence anymore, so they try to Africanize every indigenous figure that they can't explain away. The Olmecs? Well, instead of admitting that they're native Black Americans, these pan-goofies point to this tired old myth that some family member of Mansa Musa from Mali supposedly sailed across the Atlantic to the Americas. They repeat it as if it's a fact, when in reality it's nothing more than hearsay. Now think about that. One unproven legend about a West African voyage becomes their entire foundation for claiming the Olmecs were African. They can't show us Olmec records in West Africa. They can't show us family names, lineages, or genetic proof tying us to Mali. What they bring instead is speculation, vague oral stories detached from this land. Meanwhile, we have concrete documentation, land allotments, Indian rolls, eyewitness accounts from European explorers who described the copper-colored people that they met here. Our ancestors are written in history, even if reclassified under paper genocide. Now, let's be real. If Mansa Musa's kin had truly crossed the ocean and discovered the Americas, where are the Mali cities? Where is the Malian language in our tongues? Where is the Malian culture in our traditions? It's not here because it never happened. Instead, what you see in the Olmecs, the Mississippian mound builders, the Creeks, the Yamasi, the Timucua, are continuous indigenous civilizations whose descendants still walk this land. Us. So when Pan-Africans cling to that Mansa Musa myth, it exposes how shaky their argument really is. They need a foreign king's relative to explain what our people already accomplished. They need Africa to validate America, because they can't accept that native Black Americans were the first and are still here. Our oral tradition never said Africa. Our records never said Africa. Our existence, our heritage, our ancestors' names etched in colonial documents, all of it says we are the indigenous people of these lands. And no recycled myth about Mansa Musa's brother, no attempt to Africanize the Olmecs will ever change that. So let them cling to their legends. We'll stand on the facts, the records, and the unbroken chain of tradition passed down to us. The truth is out. We're not African. We are native Black Americans, indigenous to the soil, and that truth no longer needs anyone's permission to be spoken. Now that we've got some gems dropped early on, I urge you guys to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the Cash App or the Super Chat if you support the mission, and let's get into some of the new rhetoric coming from the pan-goofies, shall we? And in a little bit, we're going to bring up a couple of honored guests, and I believe they have some content to share with us as well, but Lord, it's going to get worse. And I'm not sure if it's ever going to get better. First, they said Black Indians. It doesn't exist. They said you guys are Wabos, you guys are pretendians. And now that we came with the receipts, now that we came with the proof, Now they're trying to say, oh, yeah, well, those black Indians, they really came from Africa a long, long time ago. All right, guys. Let's get into it. And let me get some fists or feathers in the chat if you guys can hear this audio when I start playing it. Here, and I'm back at it with another video of African history. Oh, and hold on, y'all. I listen to everything on double speed. Okay, let me put that normal speed for y'all. Here we go. Let me get some fists or feathers if you guys can hear this. Okay. What up, African World? It's Home Team here, and I'm back at it with another video of African history, culture, and worldview. I've been doing videos for years now, and sometimes it can be difficult to answer all the questions I've been getting, especially from videos I've done like super long ago. So I thought to myself, you know, what better way to answer all of these questions and even critiques than to do a video on it. So in the future, hopefully I can do more of these videos. And one of my recent videos about Esteban, it brought about a lot of discussion about Africans in America before Columbus and about the demographics of native populations in America. And I wanted to express my position on the topic, but more importantly, to iron this out within our community. Because to be blunt, there seems to be a lot of misinformation about it. So let's discuss it. First, I'll show a few clips of my old video about Esteban, and then, you know, we can fully dive in. Apparently, he's going to debunk our indigenous claims with Esteban, I don't know. I've never heard of this person before. Let's learn something new here today, guys. Let's see how Esteban somehow ties to debunking our Aboriginal roots in the Americas. And if you've already seen the video, you can just skip this part. But if you guys are interested, you can just go to my main page and, you know, just revisit the video there.
Esteban the Moor, who traveled to the New World with the Spanish.
Oh, shit. We're already starting with this Moorish stuff. All right. Esteban the Moor
has been described as the first great black man in America. The history of Esteban is interesting because he's quite possibly
the first great black man in America would be an African conquistador, huh? Sailing on behalf of the Spanish, working on behalf of European conquistadors. All right. But some of you guys really want to big up the Moors, huh?
First Muslim American traveled to the New World with the Spanish has been described as the first great black man in America. The history of Esteban is interesting because he's quite possibly the first Muslim to set foot on American soil. Esteban's companions were astonished at his ability to communicate with Native Americans through hand signals and what they thought to be indigenous languages. Native American communities were absolutely fascinated by Esteban because they had never seen a black man before. Esteban pushed forward.
Can you give us some proof to that? We're just supposed to take his word for it, guys. Let this random dude on the internet tell it. The American Indians were enamored by this dude because they've never seen black people before. Guys, the Spanish were mostly colonizing the Caribbean, Central America, South America. The further you get to South America, the blacker the Indians get. What are you talking about? You're telling me indigenous Caribs, indigenous Arawak, indigenous Taino saw this Moorish person and we're like, oh my gosh, we've never seen somebody that color before. Nah, maybe they were enamored. Maybe they were communicating so well because the Moors had established trade with us. There is evidence to suggest that African Moors had traveled over here and engaged in trade with us, and we had traveled over there as well, vice versa. They found gold-tipped spears with American Indian tribes, I believe, in the Caribbean. And Spanish conquistadors took the spears back to Europe, tested them, and it was tested and found to be African metal of some sort. But wait a minute. I'm not just going to get up here and say that. I'm going to actually give you some sources. I'm going to share with you how you can look that up. I just said that there was a, hold on a second. Gold-tipped spears in the Americas that were sent back to Europe by Spaniards and found to be of African gold. Let's see, guys. I'm gonna fact check myself. I'm not gonna do like, oh boy, who's just gonna get up here and say, hey, Central and South America Indians were like, oh, we've never seen black people before. I mean, all right, bro. All right. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Okay, here we go. Bartolomé de las Casas. If anybody wants to look into this, Bartolomé de las Casas wrote something called The History of the Indies, and this drew from Columbus's journals. And he writes of black-skinned indigenous people found in Hispaniola that told Columbus that there were another group of dark-skinned people that came from the south or southeast carrying spear points made out of a metal called guanin. He says that the samples were then sent to the Spanish monarchs to be assayed, and that the assay showed a composition of 32 parts, 18 gold, 6 silver, 8 copper, and that the gold was of African origin. Damn. That's how you cite a source. If anybody wants to look it up, Bartolomé de las Casas. The text is History of the Indies. Bam. They call me the king of receipts for a reason. But let's hear old boy tell us how South American, Central American Indians never seen black people before, and now they come across this more. And somehow he's going to segue this into we're not indigenous to America.
So he reached a region never before traveled by non-Indians. Crossing into what is now Arizona and New Mexico, he saw from a high elevation the walls of the famous city of Cibola, which the Indians called Hawaku. The legacy of Estevanico is great because he was the first African to culturally, linguistically, and socially navigate the spaces of the New World.
You Pan-Africans are a strange bunch. You know that, right? You Pan-Africans, I mean, on the one hand, you want to yell white supremacy. On the one hand, you want to talk about how you got colonized and conquered, and Europe is still assassinating African leaders to this day. Da, 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 da. But then in the same vein, you big up an African conquistador. He wasn't over here exploring the Americas for Africa. He wasn't over here exploring the Americas to get down with the indigenous tribes and form some alliance. He was working on behalf of Europeans to take over our ancestral homeland. And look how he's speaking about this motherfucker like he's the greatest man, and like he's someone of note, someone to big up. And so this motherfucker's a sellout. Esteban, the Moor, whatever. Oh, so you're telling me when the Alhambra Edict was issued in 1492 and the Reconquista happened and Spain regained control from the Moors and they kicked out all the Jews and the Moors, you telling me those sellout Moors who capitulated to European Spanish dominance and then sold out the tribes in the Americas, you're telling me y'all are still trying to promote these folks as heroes?
So from the clips that you guys just saw, I'm pretty much advancing the idea that Estevanico was the first significant black man in America on American soil.
We can't get no receipts to back his claim. He ain't gonna give us no authors, no text, but let him tell it in his mind. The most significant black man is this motherfucking Moor working on behalf of Spanish conquistadors. You notice how he left that part out, right? You notice how he left out the part where he was traveling with Europeans. He was down with Europeans. Guys, this is the equivalent of like a black person being down with the Klan running around lynching folks. We don't big up that person. They're a sellout.
And some of you had your critiques and your comments saying that, hey, home team, like there were clearly black people in America before Estevanico. And I feel like we really need to explore that because the only clear-cut evidence that I'm privy to concerning Africans coming to the New World.
Keyword that he's privy to. Keyword that he's privy to. This man is a whole Pan-African. He runs a channel called Home Team History, making a bunch of videos about Africa. He's not doing any indigenous American scholarship.
Or the Americas before Columbus is by a journey by a Malayan king named Abubakar Keita II. And this
I told y'all about this dumb shit, right? These Pan-Africans going to tell us about a myth of Mansa Musa's brother or cousin or someone taking a trip and never coming back. And that means that the black people of the Americas were really Africans, okay? right? Guys, he thinks he's so slick. First, he started off saying the first black person in Americas of note is this black conquistador, Esteban or Estevico or some shit. Now he's trying to double down. He's trying to say, okay, but y'all folks was getting at me after I dropped that video, and y'all was saying black people was here first. So check this out. Black people were here first, but those black people came from Africa. They were like Mansa Musa's cousin or something, or brother that took a trip one day and never came back. Guys, their logic is so faulty, so loosely threaded together.
Journey wasn't an exaggeration or fantasy. Like, it's a clear-cut, documented fact. And it was documented by an Egyptian man, apparently, who had some sort of interaction with Mansa Musa, and he wrote down literally word for word what Mansa Musa told him. Now,
oh, it's like a legitimate fact, and he like wrote down word for word what Mansa Musa told him, right? Can you give us the name of that text? Oh shit, it just got awkward. Did it just get quiet in here, or is it me? I mean, sir, can you give us the name of that text? No? Damn. Okay. Can you give us the name of that author? Oh, you don't know that either. Oh, okay. But it's a fact that Mansa Musa's brother came over here, so all the black indigenous people descend from Mansa Musa's brother who came from Mali. Okay. Got it.
Abu Bakr Keita made this journey a whole century before Columbus. And, you know, scholars aren't exactly sure concerning the success of this trip, but it is definitely clear that he definitely sailed the Atlantic Ocean. And there's also evidence to suggest that there were Africans who were shipwrecked in South America and had a lot of contentious relationships with the native population there. Now, many people usually point to Ivan van Sertima, a scholar from the Caribbean who wrote a book called They Came Before Columbus. And personally, I never read the whole book.
He probably doesn't know any of the evidence cited in that book. One of the sources that Ivan van Sertima cites is the same source I gave you. Bartolomé de las Casas, talking about the gold-tipped spears that were sent to Europe and tested and found to be of African alloy. Yeah. Ivan van Sertima has a lot of facts. He has a lot of receipts that cite black indigenous people in the Americas and cite a trade that was established between Africans and indigenous black Americans. But Ivan van Sertima is also a pan-African, so he tries to spin the black Indians came from Africa one day. But you gotta, take what's useful, discard what's not. Ivan van Sertima, great scholar. He did prove that there was trade going on. He did prove there was black indigenous people here. But these pan-goofies can't accept that these black indigenous people are just black indigenous people. They have to believe that these black indigenous people migrated from Africa a billion years ago one day, once upon a time in Mexico. I mean, no receipts, no sources. They'll even come up with some Lucy monkey story, some out of Africa story, but all right.
From what I did read, it does seem as though he's talking about European visitors after Columbus who saw black people there essentially, or they stated that, hey, these Native Americans told us that they've been trading with black people. And to me personally, that really points or adds more weight to the fact that
Africans were trading with American Indians. Yes. But that does not support your claim that the indigenous blacks of the Americas came from Africa at some point. They want us to think that every place in the world was inhabited by indigenous people, but the Americas was just empty until some Asians came across the Bering Strait, or some Europeans came over in 1492, or some Africans came over at some unknown time. I mean, damn. The mental gymnastics.
Bukhari Keita, a century later, was shipwrecked, and some of those black people or those Africans on his journey, they were trading with the Native American people there.
No evidence to support that claim. Were Africans trading with American Indians? Absolutely, yes. Did Allah Bukhari, Mansa Musa's brother, come over here and get shipwrecked and then start trading with American Indians? No evidence to support that theory at all. If the Mali Empire got shipwrecked over here with 1,000 ships, we'd see some evidence of the Malayan Empire. We'd see some artifacts, we see something. We see some cultural diffusion. Matter of fact, if they came over here and they stayed and they established territories, homesteads, civilization, then they would have the means to also make the return trip back home. Why did they never go back to Africa? For all we know, that they sunk in the bottom of the ocean during a hurricane. For all we know, that they hit some island and then from there went to Asia. Who fucking knows if they made it to America? You see how loosely threaded this goofy bullshit is?
And they were sort of in survival mode, if you will. Now, to be honest, I do think that claiming that the native population in the America before Columbus, before Abu Bukhari, saying that they were black people, I believe it's a little disingenuous.
Oh, you don't say. Oh, the goofy who makes a living trying to convince us we're Africans says that it's disingenuous to say that the American Indians are. Oh, shit. Oh, damn. 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 But then it gets real strange because I'm an American Indian and I'm black. Oh, shit. Damn. Not only that, but I wonder if the goofy will ever take his ass to Germany. I wonder if he'll ever take a trip to Germany and go tell the Germans that they're being disingenuous when the Germans, since the 1700s, paints depictions and statues in their churches showing the American Indians as black people. This is a church in Germany. You can go here to this day. Go see this for yourself. The church is called Galbenbad, St. Martin. This photo was taken in 2012. The statue is from the 1700s, and they even got a nice little label on it for us. Oh, look, this is America. This is a depiction of America. Damn, it's so disingenuous for us to say the American Indians are black, but the Europeans can say the American Indians are black. Here's a whole portrait on the roof of a German church. Again, it's labeled for us. Check it out. This figure right here is Asia. This one right here is Europe. This one over here is Africa. And this one right here in the center is America. So the pan-goofies want to tell us that Black indigenous people didn't exist. We're disingenuous for saying Black indigenous people exist, but Europeans paint on the roof of their holiest of holy places Black indigenous people of the Americas. Okay. Got it. Makes a lot of sense. If you go to nativebblackancestry.com, that's my website. Go to nativebblackancestry.com. As a thank you for visiting the site, you can download a free copy of my ebook, Reclassified, The Hidden History of Black Indians in the Southeast from Indian to Negro. And I give you nothing but facts, receipts, sources for free 99. Shipping and handling included. And if you check out the website, if you scroll to the bottom, I actually have a little information on me, my family, one of my prominent ancestors, Thomas Jefferson Adams Harjo. He was a Creek Indian town king, a chief justice of our tribal nation. Black indigenous man, listed on the Dawes roll number 2145, as a full-blooded Creek by blood Indian. But the pan-goofies are going to tell us Black indigenous people don't exist when I descend from Black indigenous people and I am a Black man with indigenous ancestry. It's documented, federal documentation, tribal citizenship, but y'all ain't got no African citizenship, and you running around saying we all come from Africa. You ain't got no documentation on your ancestors being shipped from no Africa, but you want us to believe that all of our ancestors were shipped from Africa. I mean, if you're African, why can't you just be content with being an African? Have you guys ever noticed that? They're not content with just being an African. They have to convince us that we're Africans too. Damn. And when it comes to the Native Black American community, we're not running around trying to force feed indigenous identity to Black Americans. We're preserving the memory of our ancestors. We're reversing the effects of paper genocide. We're educating the masses on our indigenous heritage. And if somebody has done their genealogy and it traces back to West African slaves, that's cool. That's your history. That's not ours. Maybe you descend from the 4% of African slaves that got shipped to North America. That's cool. That's not us. But they can't be content being African, y'all. They got to try to convince us that we are African as well. And if you've yet to do your genealogy, I urge you, check out the website, nativeblackancestry.com. You can even have access to my calendar, book a genealogy consultation with me, where I'll teach you the 3-step process me and my family use to trace our heritage and get tribal citizenship with the Muskogee Creek Nation.
Hi, my name is Frances Tuck, and I contacted Mike from Mike TV on YouTube because I wanted to find out about my family's Native American history that I believed existed. Through the research that I was able to do through Mike TV, I was able to find out that our name is indeed on the registry. I had a consultation with Mike today, and because of his advice and the research that he has done, I am now confident that I'm able to find my family's roots in the Native American History database. Thank you, Mike.
Let's talk about it, y'all. We got to do our genealogy. When you do your genealogy, you find some very interesting things about your ancestry. I mean, again, I was talking about my grandfather, Thomas Jefferson Adams Harjo. He's also written about in this book right here, Indian Territory, its chiefs, legislators, and leading men. And it's crazy how we say we're indigenous, we descend from indigenous people, and we even have ancestors written about as indigenous tribal leaders. But y'all can't show us any of your ancestors written about as Africans. I mean, there's no book with your great-great-great-granny and her family story of coming over from Sierra Leone and da-da-da. Nah, the closest thing you got to that is Alex Haley Roots. And that shit was plagiarized from a Jewish man. Look it up. Look it up. He paid that Jewish man hundreds of thousands of dollars. He stole that from a Jewish man that wrote a book about an African being shipped to South America. The book was called The African by Alex Corlander. Alex Corlander is a Jewish man. Alex Haley ripped off the Jewish man's story, repackaged it, and tried to force feed it to us as if that's our family genealogy. It gets wicked, y'all. It gets real, real wicked. But you know what? I've got a couple guests that I want to bring up. I've got a couple guests. I don't think we need to hear anything more from the Pan-Goofy Mansa Musa crowd. But let me see. Coming from the back to the front, we've got Empress in the building. Empress, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing all right. How you doing tonight, Mike?
Oh, too stressed to be blessed. Or is it too blessed to be stressed? I don't know. I'm stressed out, goddammit. I'm stressed out. They're trying to tell us Mansa Musa's brother or cousin or uncle went in a boat this way, which means we all come from the Mali Empire. I'm confused.
A myth, a prayer and a whim, malarkey, and a whole bunch of tether bullshit, if you ask me. I mean, there's no proof, there's no receipts. They just guessing at this point, making it up as they go. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, the African tethers and everybody else love to make up any excuse so why we are not who we say we are. And it's kind of funny. I mean, I'm enjoying it because I'm trying to see what they gonna come up next. But this is the first time I heard somebody say something about Mansa Musa and him traveling over here and all this stuff. And like you said, where are the artifacts? Where are these buildings? So a whole bunch of Africans from this great empire in Africa came over here, got shipwrecked, and they didn't build shit. They didn't leave no traces of no Africanism, Malian empire behind. Come on now. It's nonsense. Completely, utterly nonsense. Like, it's comedy. And yeah, we here and they not. And the tetherism is real. Fuckery of it all.
Tetherism is real. And have you noticed that I feel like they're updating their Pan-Goofy program. I feel like I'm just now hearing them speak about this Mansa Musa stuff and this Olmec being African stuff. I feel like for the longest, they just straight up said we're Wabos, we're pretendians, we're ashamed to be African, Black Indians don't exist. But once we started bringing the receipts forth, once we start bringing the archaeology, the anthropology, the federal records, and they see the evidence is right in front of us, now they're like, okay, Black Indians exist, but they came from Africa.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, we all know that it was melanated people on every single continent, and Black Americans, the great Black Americans, the Indigenous here, are the only ones they're trying to tie a tether to. Why is that? Why are they trying to link to us so bad? And embarrassed of what? I'm not embarrassed of anything because I'm not African, and I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of being an MBA. And they need to be proud of proud to be an African and stay out of our shit. That's what they need to do. It's getting tiresome. It really is.
That's right. And you know what? We've also got your sister Joshina on the line. Joshina, how you doing?
Hi, everyone. Hey, Mike. Good evening.
Hey, well, lay it on us. What do you think about the Mansa Musa thing?
A delusional fairy tale with no receipts. Just made up BS as he went along, regurgitated false lies he picked up from other pan-crazies. His theory doesn't even hold water. They had coke, corn, tobacco in Africa from the trade with the Americas. It's been proven.
And yes, y'all, she said cocaine, cocaina, that pure, that Colombia. Okay.
It's been proven. It's found in the mummies. The studies have been done. So they ignore the written literature just to fit their narrative. When we could read, we could do the research. It's free. Like it's not so much to look this stuff up. It's in writing. The nonsense they spew is what's causing this division, unfortunately, because they won't let us be proud of who we are in our heritage. They're trying to take that away from us like it's something that's attacking them by us claiming our lineage and our ancestry. It shouldn't affect them as much as it is. The cosplay, we've allowed it. The disrespect, we've allowed it. But it seems like as soon as we try to separate ourselves and not even separate ourselves, as soon as we find out who we are, we haven't even tried to separate from them. What are they so scared of? But we're finding out who we are, and we're claiming who we are. And now there's a panic. The pan crazies are going crazy. It's one of those things that you just say, run around in circles until you hit a wall, because we're going to keep on going. We're going to keep on being loud. We're going to keep on waking people up, helping them find out who they are. We're big in numbers once we all come to realize who we are. And that's what I think they're afraid of, is that they won't have that connection, because we're not calling ourselves African Americans no longer. That's one of those things that they take pride in. Like with our celebrities, they take pride in our celebrities. They don't care about us little guys that's, a common American, a common Black American. We're nothing to them. The disrespect is real. But when it comes to our celebrities, they idolize them. They obsess over them because of the money, in the stature of they have in society. They want to be close to success. So that's what they do. They leech onto us. They claim every successful piece of us that we have, but anything that they see as negative and non-culture, they say, "Oh no, that's not us. We're not Black. We're not like them Black African Americans." So when we drop the African out of our title, now you're offended. You should be happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you would think that they would be happy. They've been telling us for the longest that we're Yankees, we're Akatas, we're not them. I mean, those of us that do go over to Africa and visit or relocate, they get a rude awakening. But speaking of which, I know that you ladies had some videos that you wanted to present. to the court of public opinion. So why don't we get into that content real quick? I think this first one was from Empress, right?
Yeah, this one right here, she had a lot to say, but really wasn't saying shit. But I thought it needed to be showed to everybody to see how they really think about us, you know, how they feel about us, period, in general. You know, these are some of the things that they talk about us in their community after we didn't pave the way for them. But yeah, come on, let's get into this real quick.
If only this reached the consensus of all African and Caribbeans, everybody from Jamaica, Trinidad, Haiti, and Africa. If this meet your
And hold on, let's read the caption. It says, some Black American are calling for them to boycott African business. To my African, can we also agree to boycott everything that has to do with Black America?
Now, first of all, with that, we don't give a damn. Y'all trying to come over here and get everything we got. We ain't going over to Jamaica, Haiti, trying to cop shit. We ain't ordering nothing from off of Amazon, from Haiti or Jamaica, and we ain't ordering nothing from Africa off of nowhere, trying to get nothing for them. So they could boycott over here all they want. They the ones taking the loss, not us. We got us. We always had us. And that's why they trying to get up over here with us, running over here from their shithole country to get up over here with us.
Hey, the only business I've ever done with Africans, unfortunately, a lot of my drivers are Africans. You know, I'll get the Uber Black car, the Uber Comfort, and you know, a lot of these Africans are Uber drivers. So unfortunately, sometimes I have to deal with some must. Sometimes it's a chill African, and I ain't got no problem with them, right? But another way I do some commerce with the Africans. I took a trip to Puerto Rico. And my lady wanted a Gucci bag or a something bag or something that I wasn't going to spend no thousands of dollars on. But guess what they had in Puerto Rico? They had a bunch of panhandling Africans. They have these little booths and they're selling counterfeit goods. And guess what? This chick was down to get a counterfeit bag. She was like, can you get me what I said? African man, how much is it? He said like $40, $50. I said, go ahead. Here's $150. Get a couple of bags, okay? Africans, I will not boycott you. If I'm in Puerto Rico on vacation and I can buy a cheap knockoff bag that satisfies a lady friend of mine, then I will get it from you guys because you are a good supplier of counterfeit goods, okay? But other than that, y'all don't really have any businesses that we frequent. I mean, I'm not eating oxtails at the Jamaican spot. Sometimes I'll go to the East Coast. A lot of them smoothie shacks are ran by the Jamaicans. I might get a, peanut butter banana smoothie or something. But guys, you do realize that you're not over here in America with a bunch of thriving, successful businesses like that, right?
Yeah, it's just a couple of hair stores that I've seen. That's it that they have. And, it's just like the Asians with me. I go up in there and I buy some shit and get up out of there because I know they don't be meaning the community no good. Now, like I said before, I met a handful of Africans that were actually cool and but I've met more that have been demeaning, condescending, downright evil and mean, and have their nose turned up in the air like they better than somebody, but they forgot where they came from and why they came up over here and how they got up over here. Don't nobody care about her boycotting nothing up over here. And if she wanted to be correct and at least show some respect instead of her saying, let's boycott them back. No, you get your people together and admit that you're wrong. Apologize. Get up here and apologize for how y'all done treated us and give us our props on what we then did and how y'all able to even get up over here and get a business open and do the stuff y'all do. You've been doing this stuff piggybacking off of us.
Yeah, and in actuality, we could actually destabilize the whole true African American economy. Not that reclassification they put on us. I'm talking about the real African Americans. You African migrants coming over here, right? We can fuck y'all up in one move, okay? All we got to do is convince Native Black American women not to go get their hair braided by you.
Say it again, because that's what fuels it right there. The couple of hair stores they have, and the hair braiding little salons that they have. But they thought before they all came up over here, we wasn't braiding hair already. That, you know, MBAs don't know how to braid hair. No, we know how to braid hair. I'm a cosmetologist right here. I know how to do some hair and I know how to do some braids. You get what I'm saying? People go to the Africans. Oh, Africans really know how to braid. No, sister, we know how to braid too. Been doing it for some years. And my auntie had a salon, and my dad's cousin had a salon, and so on and so on. We know how to do our own hair. They're just going to the Africans because it's so, oh, they know how to braid some hair. We know how to braid hair too. And as soon as the sisters get it together and start going to Black American salons, they're going to be out of business. They keep on pushing, keep on doing that, and see how much they be out of business out here. Then they're going to be sniveling and crying online. Well, please forgive us. We did not mean it. We are all as one. Power to the people.
They know damn well there ain't no other demographic of women in America that are going to them to get their hair braided.
Consent.
So what I got from that is that she's trying to claim basically that the African dollar is more powerful than the Black American dollar. Like trying to compete with us on who has the spending power when we have countries fighting over our spending power. I think there's no comparison. You guys send all your money back home to that country that you're not developing.
Yeah, I don't think she wants to play big bank, take little bank.
Yeah, because it's only what about it's only like 2 million.
Hold on. Let's get into the video. Hold on. Let's see what she has to say.
All of us that call out one day from work, all of us across the United States, all immigrants call out from work.
Call out from work? All I gotta do is call ICE and you out the country.
Yes. If they want to go to war, let's see what they can prove. And it's also, all immigrants, like your businesses from all Black Americans, simple as that. Don't let them go into your grocery store. Don't let them go into your restaurant. Don't let them go into your salon.
The highest level of achievement you African migrants reach in America is Uber delivery DoorDash driver. I know they aren't acting like they got grocery stores and shit. Hold on. We got to let this video play. We damn sure ain't listening to the whole 10 minutes of this, but let's play it for a minute or two and see where she goes with this.
You want to go to war? We will. And also, we can ask all our African doctors, boycott all Black American treatment. Like I said, you don't want to go to war with African. Trust me. We are 54 freaking country.
I don't know what she just said there. 54 country. I don't know. I got to do a little research though. What percentage of American doctors are African? 5 to 6% of doctors are African. So if you African doctors disappear tomorrow, we ain't tripping. I've never had an African doctor. Have any of you had an African doctor before?
No.
I'm not racist.
No.
If my doctor comes through and he's African, I'm not going to be like, oh, is he qualified to do? You know, I'm going to look at him a little funny, though. I'm going to be like, interesting. But
I've met an African dentist.
Yeah. And that's just a doctor. That's not even like a surgeon or anything. Like a doctor is just there to write prescriptions for the most part. The nurses do everything. Like we said. And if you African doctors disappear tomorrow, we will be A-okay.
The population of African in the United States is more than your Black American population.
Oh shit, I gotta fact check that one. I gotta go straight to ChatGPT for that one. I pay for the upgraded ChatGPT. Hold on. Wait a minute. A African migrant just made the claim. Wait, hold on. Is my audio connected? ChatGPT, can you hear me?
Hey there. I've got a
wait, hold on. Mic check. Hold on, y'all. I gotta tweak my settings real quick. What's going on? Let me see. Settings. What is it? I've done this before. I think it's security. Where's security at? Privacy and security. Site settings. Here we go. Microphone. There we go. Now my microphone should be connected. I'll do the other voice thing. An African migrant just made the claim that African immigrants are a larger population demographic than Black Americans. Is there any truth to this? Let's see, y'all. I got to fact check this. She said they are stronger in numbers. No, the claim is not supported by evidence. The data indicates that Black immigrants, including those from Africa, are a small fraction of the total Black population in the U.S. It says there are 40 to 47 million people in the U.S. who identify as Black American, roughly 12 to 14% of the U.S. population. Among those, there's about 4.6 million African immigrants, which is only about 9% of the Black population. So yeah, she just getting up here lying.
Just so you know, that's the reason why 64% of the Democratic vote is immigrant. And
I'm not going to fact check that. I agree with her, and it's probably immigrant because the Democrats let all you immigrants over here for free 99 and give you free hotels and free debit cards and all kinds of shit.
Out of that 64, 54 is Black. So Black America.
Yeah. Half of the immigrants fleeing over here are from Africa. Yes. Okay.
You don't want to go to war with us. At this point, I don't care if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican, because the stupid Black Republicans that
hold on, is this her actual profile?
With the stupid African Republicans or Black Republicans.
No, hold on. This account right here, Ella who? Is this her actual account or is this someone else who like shared this video?
I'm not sure.
Hold on, I gotta do some investigative research. Nah, I don't think this is okay. This ain't her account. Hey, I ain't even gonna lie, y'all. I was about to call ICE. I was about to make a report. Okay, I was about to put my tax dollars at work, y'all. I was about to Google ICE hotline. I was gonna give them her TikTok handle. There is a migrant over here making threats against the Native Black American community. I was gonna call 1-866 DHS to ICE to report suspicious activity related to immigration or custom laws. I was about to do it, y'all, but I ain't got the right account. I'm over here about to get this sister. Oh, wait, hold on. I think I got it. Love means everything one. Is that it? Let me see. Love means everything one. Oh, that's a bad wig if that is her. Jesus. Is this her? I can't tell. Oh, it looks like an African. Is that the same African girl? She must have been stress eating if that's the same one. I think it's a different one. All right, listen. As much as I want to call ICE, I ain't gonna call ICE on the wrong African, y'all. I'm gonna verify I got the right migrant before I put in the call. I'm not full on Karen like that. I think that this is a different Bush baby, so I'm just gonna leave it be. It kind of looks like her, but looks like a chunkier chicken version. I don't know. Since I can't verify the identity, we just gonna let that be, okay? I'm gonna turn the other cheek. But Lord knows, I was about to call the hotline on speakerphone, on God. Right hand on the Bible. Come on. Let's get into the next video. Next video is from Janisha, right?
Yes. So this one right here is them calling all. They're calling out all their homies. They trying to gang up on us right here. So this is them saying that they need help from the whole diaspora to deal with the Native Black Americans.
Dang, they got a form like Voltron.
Africans are fucking cowards, y'all. So they out here making videos calling for Jamaicans and Haitians to come support them in their fight against Black Americans. Ain't y'all the same one saying y'all 54 countries, y'all are content?
Hey, real talk. The Haitians and the Jamaicans and stuff, like, you Africans in the Caribbean really need to leave us alone, because your whole entire country literally would not have any income if not for our tourism. if not for American tourism, especially Black Americans. But Black Americans, I think, are much more readily and a much higher demographic of the Caribbean tourism market, because, you know, it's a lot cheaper for somebody from the hood to hop on a Spirit flight and go to Jamaica real quick, you know, versus going to the Eastern Hemisphere, right? But guys, don't they understand that if we just chose to like vacation in U.S. territories, their country's GDP would tank overnight? Right?
Really?
Not only that, they are already a destitute or a third world country. It's not like they're doing good as it is, and with the tourism lowing as it is, yeah, I guess they do need to team up, because they can't do nothing by themselves. Look at all their countries. Like, if they're all teaming up, and none of their countries are developed by them.
Haiti's in the middle of a civil war right now. The United States government put a travel ban on Haiti. The cruise ships no longer dock at Haiti. That's how bad it is right now in Haiti. We ain't even going over there tourists, right? But y'all think that you can somehow go to war with us?
I mean, they need to go to war with themselves. It's they always worried about the wrong thing and be loud and wrong. Like, go to war with yourself, fix what y'all got going on before you come over here worried about us. Everybody over there in Africa and those different little countries on that big old continent all have tribal background. They practice tribalism over there to the teeth. They be warring and committing genocide over their tribes over there. What is wrong with Black Americans, Native Black Americans, stating their identity, who we are, where we come from, what tribe we come from? What is wrong with it?
Let's get into it.
It not a country calling for help for Black Americans and Jamaicans and Haitians. Y'all gonna have to start making y'all some videos. I need to see where y'all stand, because I don't want to just come at y'all if y'all not on what they calling y'all to be on. But let me say this: them Africans know what's up with us, y'all. They really know. If we flip that motherfucking switch, and not that switch, but that switch too, it's over for them. But anyways, y'all see what I got on the screen. Chinese people over there buying up all their stuff, putting them in 360 debt deals, their government at that. So they really have way bigger issues, which they will never try to address.
Hey, let's talk about it. A Jewish record label executive may put a nigga in the hood in a 360 record deal, but y'all whole countries is getting 360 deals by the Chinese and the Russians. Oh, Lord. Come on.
He's knowledgeable about his information, about the American Indians, and how we change our classification over time and the different types of mounds and different rules from the French, from the British. If you want viable information, you want to really find out who in your lineage and who are the people you come from, I suggest going with Mike TV. His prices are affordable. He's not like some of these other people out here. I urge, go with Mike TV.
Come on, y'all. Let's get into it. This next video clip, I think this is from you, right, Empress?
Yes, indeed.
All right. And tell us a little bit about this one. What are we going to witness? I already see an African on the screen. Wait, hold on. I got to go to the beginning, though. What is this one about?
For me. The video is not.
Oh, you know what? I'm not sharing my screen. Hold on a second. There we go. What is this one about?
Basically, this is about an African being mad, saying that Black Americans can't keep their names out of our mouths, and how much we need to include them and everything.
Okay. Well, let's take a look.
African culture. You wash your kid's head in cow pee. You know, I see a lot of Africans, they bend their head under cows and let cows piss on their head. Y'all don't even live past 35.
Whoa. I think he's been watching some Mike TV. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I think that's a Mike TV exclusive. I think Mike TV is the only YouTuber that showed a clip of them taking a golden shower. Okay, so shout out to the brother, okay? Yeah. Oh. Whoa. No. You don't have water in Africa?
I don't understand. I don't understand that. I don't understand what it's for. I never understand bathing in urine for no reason at all. And like I said, they get over here and they forget where they come from. This is the culture there, part of the culture there. This is where they come from. This is what the different tribes there do, different things like this. We are not the same. And I, for one, I'm just mad about it. Like, I'm appalled. Why are you trying to connect me to that? I'm connected to this.
The only way I'm taking a golden shower under a farm animal is if there's an alien with an invisibility cloak and dreadlocks chasing me through the forest. And in order to throw him off my scent, I got to take a quick shower and some cow pee, okay?
Not the predator.
Life or death situations is the only time. But they just doing that on a Tuesday. They just... let me scrub up real quick. Let me just get a little more.
I don't understand.
It's disgusting.
African in Africa right now is probably 42.
So wait, you said the oldest person in Africa is 42? The oldest person in Africa is 42. Have you met Paul Biya?
See, and this is the sad thing. Like, they're so infantile in like culture and society and communication that they don't understand he was like making a tongue-in-cheek joke. He doesn't mean like they literally only live to 42. But the African is now like, gotcha. Actually, there's some of us who've reached 92. Oh, you're wrong, you stupid Black American. It's like, bro, no, he was joking. Like,
they really don't understand our language here, how we are. They don't understand. It was some on it was one African on TikTok asking Black Americans, what do you mean when you make a comment on a post saying, well, I'm about to go shopping and anybody coming with me, or I'm about to have a cookout, anybody bring in the sides? They don't understand that means we don't give a fuck about the post or what's going on in the comments and we minding our business like it don't mean anything. They really don't understand, you know, how we are over here and how we talk. But that's between us, and it ain't for them to understand at the same time. And
our unique vernacular influences the world. Everybody right now on TikTok is talking like a Black American woman, clocking tea, and I just read you, and da 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 da. Right? Come on.
All of that.
Yep.
Not only that, they're teaching each other how to talk like us and what our dialect sounds like, the meaning, but they're getting it all wrong.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
No matter what they do or how they try to say it, the soul isn't there. It's just like when I hear a other say the N-word, but they be trying to say it like us.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
We see through you, but let's see if he has any other counter besides oh no, look, there's some Africans that have lived past 42.
Nah, I'm just playing back for real though. Are you serious, bro? Even my dad is 80. But it's okay, I understand, because most people in your hoods don't get to live past 33.
Wait, what? So homie made a joke about Africans probably not living 42, and then he's like, oh no, we live longer. And guess what? Most people in your hoods don't live past it. Motherfucker, don't you have a coup to run from? Isn't there a village in Africa right now that just had 11-year-olds run through with AK-47s and take out every man, woman, and child in sight? Don't you have Bill Gates injecting your woman to make them not have babies? What are you talking? Aren't the Chinese whooping your ass in a factory in Kenya somewhere right now? Damn.
I wonder if he even have all his limbs.
Damn. Let me see what his little statistic is. Today, homicide is the leading cause of death amongst young Black men. In about 80 to 90% of the cases, the Black victim was killed by another Black. Yeah, nothing in this paragraph says that Black men in the ghetto only lived to 35, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or excuse me, he said we don't live past 33.
You guys take them out, right? Pew pew everywhere. That's why you think we don't leave up.
Pew pew everywhere. You cannot compare American gang violence, a couple niggas running around with Glocks and switches, to you guys running around with whole grenades and AKs and ARs taking out whole villages. genocides, Rwanda genocides, Kenya genocide, Congo genocide. There's a civil war in Somalia going on right now. How dare an African talk about black on black violence? What about you Africans butchering your fellow African right now?
42. And the ones who get old in your community sound like this.
He's up in me, hunching, and I can feel him. And then when he...
How many countries in Africa? 107?
I'm confused. So he brought up a clip of some homosexual man talking about something, and that somehow is representative of the Black American. Okay, whatever.
Not one of them are ran by Africans.
And you are allowed to vote, even procreate. 107 countries in Africa.
Again, he was exaggerating. He was highlighting the fact that there's a bunch of countries that you own and you still ain't got shit popping. Black Americans don't own a country. We don't have our own military force, our own treasury department, our own infrastructure. We live under colonial, imperialistic European rule for the last 500 years. And y'all got colonized for like 40 or 50 years, and you ain't got it together since. Okay. All right. But that's enough of that bush, baby. This next one, who was the one that sent this next clip over? Okay, that's you, Joshina.
That is me. Yeah.
And what are we
this
about
one right
to see?
here? Let's see how they're living over there.
Okay,
We're about to see how they really living over there. They come over here and they spew their trash. Let's see what's up.
Crazy that a group of people that come from places that look like this get to civilization and forget where they come from. They come over here and disrespect the natives of the land. They come over here and feel like they're better and bigger when this is.
Hey, shit, I'm having a come to Jesus moment, y'all. I'm having one of them moments like when you a kid and you ain't eating all your dinner and your mama say, you better eat all that. Don't you know there's a starving child in Africa somewhere? Y'all, I moved to Oklahoma, right? And I'm an avid cyclist. And I was complaining about how Oklahoma doesn't have adequate bike lanes. And how dare I complain about not having enough bike lanes when at least I have paved roads. These motherfuckers are literally walking through the dirt in flip-flops.
Food on the dirt.
Barely got Wi-Fi last week. And as soon as they get on Wi-Fi, they want to get on TikTok and tell us that we ain't shit. Okay.
This is what y'all come from. This is what y'all come from. Y'all couldn't cultivate this. Y'all got all the brilliant minds, but y'all couldn't get past this. This video is within the last year. Y'all still living like this. Y'all fucking parents is probably still in the village. And y'all on here trying to talk shit to Black Americans.
Damn.
This has to stop. So not only are we boycotting their business because they like, oh, do it now, do it now.
And our indigenous ancestors were living in houses on top of pyramids along the river for thousands of years. And y'all are in Africa still living like this. Okay. Yeah. What's this next video about? Who sent this one over?
This next video is a sister who was commenting, replying back to somebody who said that gap teeth was a trait from tribes in Africa. But she went and she pulled up the receipts to show that gap teeth is also a trait here for the Native Black Americans here. And it was known, and it's known to point out exactly which tribe you're from, and it's considered a beauty trait. They considered it to be as such of a beauty mark when you had gap teeth, especially in the front.
Well, let's get into it.
Gap teeth, especially a gap between the two front teeth called diastema, has been observed as a distinct and culturally significant trait in many populations, including Black, Indigenous Americans, and some Native American tribes who mixed with them.
Okay, so she's reacting to this guy's comment on the top right where he's trying to say that gap teeth is an African trait. Got it.
A diastema is often inherited, meaning it runs in families. Among Indigenous Black Americans, particularly those with Afro-Indigenous heritage, it's common due to blending of genes from southeastern Native tribes like Cherokee, Creek, Seminole, or Choctaw. West African lineage and pre-colonial indigenous groups already present in the Americas before contact with Africans or Europeans. Many of these populations carry facial bone structures that allow for a wider jaw or palate, which can lead to spacing in the teeth, especially in early childhood. Who else has it? It's also common in West African populations like the Fulani, Yoruba, Akan, and in some Caribbean and Gullah Geechee lineage. Some Southeastern Native American tribes, especially those who intermarried or adopted Black Indigenous individuals, also carry this trait, though it's less often documented in Eurocentric dental records. In Black American communities, especially those who descend from non-enslaved or blended lineage, this trait shows up more often than average, sometimes tied to certain families, names, or regions. The culturally significant roots. In Black Indigenous cultures, gap teeth were never considered a flaw. They were a sign of beauty, uniqueness, or high spiritual power, sometimes thought to signify a powerful voice used in griot or storytelling traditions. In some Indigenous and African spiritual systems, a gap was believed to show someone with the gift of words or an ability to speak to spirits or lead others. Finally, colonial impact. Colonizers and missionaries viewed gap teeth and other ethnic features as primitive or undesirable and pushed this dentistry to close the gaps. As a result, many Indigenous Black families stopped passing down the cultural meanings, but the traits remained. Like, what is you talking about? What is you talking about? My great-grandfather, who was a native, had a gap tooth as well. Almost everybody in our family. My mother, who is Cherokee, had a gap. My father, Seminole, had a gap. Black Indigenous people carry that trait. It doesn't all come from fucking Africa.
Yeah, big facts. My son got a gap. I had a gap. It was much more prominent before the braces, but yeah, I've never looked into that. I've never researched if that is prominent amongst Black Indigenous phenotype, but she did the research, and clearly it is.
Yes, I love
I
that.
was told by my dad that, you know, it is a sign of high spirituality. You know, and I was young. I just took it like he was trying to hype me up because I wanted braces. But I was always told that it was a very meaningful thing in our culture. And he also had a gap. When I got older, I got proud of my smile. It's very unique. It's very beautiful. Everyone doesn't have my smile. And everyone can't look as good as I do with my smile. And we don't look like the Africans with the diastema. It's a whole difference. They teeth go like that. I got straight teeth. Yeah, so it's a big difference on the diastema. So just had to say that.
Yeah, most definitely. Shout out to Gigi. Thanks for joining. Gigi's a new viewer. Make sure to subscribe. Check out nativeblack.ancestry.com if you haven't yet. But shout out to all the new viewers. And let's see who had this next clip for us. Let me share my screen. Give me just a second here. We got another clip I want to bring up. Whose is this one?
That is me right here. And this is a man that's going to tell us how the relationship is between us and African Americans and Africans through his experience and the way he just views the relationship as a whole.
Okay, well, let's jump into it.
Listen, please stop referring to yourself as African American. That pan-Africanism, that whole movement to unify Black Americans with Africans, listen, that's a hoax. They want a destiny swap with us. They want to take our culture and our dollars and take it back to Africa. You see what they did with the Essence Festival. If y'all keep feeding into this narrative that we are all the same, they are brothers and sisters, what's going to end up happening is when it comes time for reparation for what our ancestors went through, not theirs, the ones that they sold, not theirs, what's going to happen is they're going to send Black Americans reparations over to Africa. And They are not our friends. They are not our allies. And I hope y'all can realize this and wake up.
Well, I don't know about sending our reparations over to Africa, but hindsight being 2020, we do realize the whole pan-Africanism movement of the 80s and the 90s was a CIA psyops to try to hijack our scholarship, hijack our investigative research capabilities that we were all embarking on. You know, in the 80s and the 90s, a lot of us were going to college for the first time, reaching higher education, you know, really getting into research and literature and anthropology. So they took that force, that energy, and they placed it over in Africa. Oh, you know what, guys? Really, we didn't want you to know this. It's a super big secret, but we're gonna tell you now. You really come from Africa. Yeah. So like, why don't you go back to Africa? Yeah. Come on. Simple hijack to try to keep us from fighting from our indigenous homeland, but
that's after.
Yeah.
That, Mike, that's after they showed us all those images of the big belly kids and all the flies and the gnats that wouldn't leave their eyeballs. And then they try to say, oh, that's where y'all from.
Mm-hmm.
We built this country. Like, are you serious?
Our ancestors were living in houses with pitch roofs and chimneys on top of pyramids. We were never no folks roaming with the buffalo, living backwards and stuff. Nah, we taught these pilgrims how to cultivate, how to do agriculture, how to build society. What are you talking about? But who has this next clip? Whose is this one? It looks like we got an African on the line.
You're on mute, sis.
Sorry about that. That will be me. Okay, here we have is another African tether who wants to tell us how much that we're not indigenous and that we are African. Listen to the garbage she spews.
Ooh.
Say they are not Africans. I consider that the biggest dululu of all ages. Because who do you think your forefathers are? Where do you think your forefathers came from? Forefathers were my brothers and sisters that were taken from West and Central Africa during the transatlantic slave trade. That was around 1619 to 1808. Now, countries like Nigeria, Senegal, Ghana, Angola were the major region where these people were captured and taken to the United States as slaves.
Damn, I done muted y'all because I thought that background noise was coming from y'all end. Hold on.
No,
This Bush baby got a baby crying in the background, and instead of taking care of her kid, instead of taking care of her starving African child, she want to get online and try to tell us where we come from as she's cosplaying a whole Black American woman.
Right. And then she gonna say where our forefathers come from. My forefathers is Muskogee Creek and Choctaw. I don't know what she talking about, and a little bit of Blackfoot too. I don't know what she talking about. Trying to make me an African. I ain't no African.
Yeah, she tripping.
This period, most of my sisters were raped and they gave birth, right? Good. After emancipation in 1865, they came together to form what we know as the Black community. At this point, they've been greatly influenced, right?
What? We did not create a Black community in 1865. We always had a Black community, dumbass. While we were under French rule, we still maintained a Black indigenous community. When we were under Spanish rule, we maintained a Black indigenous community. When we were under British rule, we maintained a Black indigenous community. She thinks we created a Black community in 1865. Hey, I'm low key, high key impressed that she even knew emancipation was 1865. I mean, round of applause for at least knowing that much, because that normally you Bush babies don't even get that far. But this is crazy, y'all. This is crazy.
To be greatly influenced by the new environment, and one of these influences is evident in the way they sound when they talk, which is completely normal because I am a Nigerian raising my child here in Canada. When my child
Nigerian raising her child in Canada. I wonder why you didn't want to raise your child in Nigeria. Hey, for whatever reason you didn't want to raise your child in your ancestral homeland, you've got 53 other African countries. You couldn't find a single African country to raise your child in. You wanted to come all the way to America? You had to come to North America, to Canada, to our ancestral homeland? Oh, Lord. This is weird, y'all.
Not one country could she go to. She had to come all the way over here, like you said. And why, if that, this is what it is. If they claim that they're us, right? And that they did all this, right? Their ancestors, they're trying to say they have the same ancestors as us, which is false, because they sold off what Africans did come over here. So the ancestor shit, that shit been cut off. That was cut off once they got on the ship. Why Africa look like that? Why it's only a few countries that look modern? Why the streets ain't paved? Why there's no water system over there?
Oh no,
Why
hold
they
on,
still
hold on,
have
hold
the
on,
big
hold on, sister. Wait,
whales?
hold on. I gotta respectfully correct you. You said, why is there a few African countries that look modern? They don't even have a few African countries that look modern. They have a couple African countries that have a couple decent spots of town. They have a couple African countries that have a couple of cities that have paved roads and Wi-Fi.
Right.
I mean, where's Wakanda?
Yeah, why isn't it built like the infrastructure here? Because we did this. So if they're so-called us, why it don't look like over here, over there, all over? Why isn't all 54 of them countries over there built up? They can't blame it on the colonialism, because that was a very short period of time. So they saying they saying they
We
weaker.
built America. Slaves literally built the White House, and they'll try to say, well, no, well, like, yeah, your ancestors built it, but like they were slaves when they built it. They still built it. And it's 2025. You have dozens of African countries, and you can't even get a hold of some powdered cement. Mix that shit with some water and get some paved roads in 2025. Ibrahim Traore, the dude who did a coup, I forget which country, he just did a coup, and everybody's talking about he's the next revolutionary African, okay? I applaud him for at least getting a hold of some cement and paving some roads. That's the most revolutionary activity that they do in Africa to this day. Their biggest revolutionary is a motherfucker who did a coup, and it resulted in him being able to finally pave some roads. That's their level of accomplishment.
Well, if that's what they got to do to get some shit rolling over there, I advise all of them all to do a coup, because all of the people that are in power over there are obviously corrupt and just pocketing whatever funding that they get whatever money they make to themselves, and they're not putting it in none of their infrastructure and none of the building of their country. So they need to do a coup in all of them, as far as I'm concerned, and get it rolling so they can stop rolling their ass up over here and fucking with us.
Absolutely.
He wouldn't sound that's because he has been influenced by the environment where he found himself, where he's growing up in, right? Now, does that make my child not Nigerian or non-African just because when he talks he sounds Canadian?
No, your child will be a Nigerian Canadian. Your child will be a Canadian citizen who descends from Nigerian migrants. What are you talking about? I'm confused. I'm losing brain cells just even listening to her. What is this next one about? It looks like we're getting into some of our accomplishments.
Yeah, this one right here is more like a comparison of the intelligence and the inventions. Like, if all of the intelligence and all the smart people are over there in Africa, then why are we the one that's inventing all of these modern technologies?
Let's get into it.
If Americans were Africans, then Africans would be as influential as us. Africans have not had any influence on the world compared to us. We have created most of the world's inventions from black-skinned people. They're a whole continent of 54 countries, and they cannot compete with us invention-wise. It's sad. Really let that sink in. We are only 13% of the American population, but we have created so many inventions. We have had such a heavy impact on the world. They are 54 countries, over 1 billion people, and they cannot compete with us culture-wise or invention-wise or influence-wise or fashion-wise or lingo-wise. These people have to come to what we've built in order to get a leg up.
Facts, and then some. I mean, there's 47 million of us in North America. Well, at least in the territories of the United States. If you count all the black population of all the Americas, I mean, there's millions, right? But just specifically Native Black Americans, those that are descendant from the reclassified, I mean, there's 47 of us in the US of A, 47 million of us in the US of A, compared to over 1 billion Africans, and they're all obsessed with us. All right, let's talk about it. And who had this next video queued up?
This one is me also. This one right here is boy, he is going in. He think he is about to prove us wrong. He's basically saying that we're all liars, that we're not Native Americans or indigenous to this land, and we need to accept our Africanism. We need to be pan crazies like him.
Okay.
Are going through an identity crisis right now, and there's a lot of misinformation on the internet about who we truly are. Let's talk about it, shall we? My name is Brother Legend, and I'm here to raise your consciousness. In all my years in the Black community, I have never been to a cookout where somebody was making a teepee in a campfire. And yet, for some reason,
our indigenous ancestors didn't have teepees. They had houses on top of pyramids.
in the past 4 years, I have seen more and more Black people in America say that they are Native, Indigenous, or Aboriginal.
Because finally, for the first time, we have access to the information at a rate that we've never had access to before. So a lot of people are participating in what we call the Grand Awakening. They're realizing, wait a minute, my uncle, my grandpa, my grandpa, they did say that we were indigenous. Well, wait a minute. If these folks raped us and pillaged and stole our land and all this stuff, you know, they would probably also lie about us coming from Africa. Wait a minute. When I do the research, when I even ask ChatGPT, I mean, they give me documents, federal laws, census records citing Black indigenous people. I mean, hey, the evidence is out there, but let's see what the Pan-Goofy's got for us.
To America. And they use two justifications for this. One is that Black people were here before Columbus, which really makes no sense to me, because even when they get their DNA results back, it'll say you have a little bit of Native American.
Yeah, DNA is a faulty science. It is not conclusive for telling you heritage or ethnicity. The only thing a DNA test can tell you is if that man forced himself into that woman or not, or if that guy is your daddy or not. It can't tell you if you're from this country or that country or that. No, stop it.
But I have not seen one person Black as me or Blacker show their DNA results, and it says that they are 100% Native American.
Damn. How about instead of showing a DNA result that is a unproven faulty science for citing ethnicity, how about instead of that, I can share my grandfather, Thomas Jefferson Adams Harjo, who's actually listed on the federal Dawes roll as a full-blooded Creek by blood. Blood quantum says full, doesn't it? But meanwhile, the Pan-Goofy can't share a document with us that proves any of his ancestors were African. But I can prove right now my ancestor was a full-blooded Creek Indian. So if he's a full-blooded Black Creek Indian, and you say that there were no Black Indians here before Columbus, then oh my gosh, where did my grandfather actually come from, guys? This is like a crazy mystery. I mean, the Pan-Goofies say Black Indians were not here before Columbus, but I'm literally showing indisputable evidence of my ancestor being a Black Indian. So if he didn't get here from before Columbus, did like a UFO drop him off from Mars, or like what exactly did he come from? The inner Earth, the hollow Earth? I mean, what's happening? I'm confused. Where did he come from? If he's listed on federal records as a full-blooded indigenous man, I mean, these Pan-Africans are confusing us. They're giving us more questions than answers, aren't they?
I mean, the whole reason you're saying you're not African is because you're saying that you didn't come here through the transatlantic slave trade. So then why do you have African DNA? The second thing that doesn't make sense to me that I hear pretty often is when they say that you've never seen a slave ship. Slave ships don't exist. And my question to that is, how do you think white people got here? Can anyone find the Mayflower or the Santa?
Yeah, they've actually did a recreation of the Mayflower. I think they actually have a recreation of the Mayflower as a tourist attraction to this day. So yes, the boats that the Europeans fled here on, those boats are around more or less. Hold on, I think this is a more modern. Here we go, Plymouth full-scale recreation. Damn, of the hundreds of ships that made the transatlantic crossing in the 1600s, she is the ship we remember. 300 years later, on June 13th, 1957, a full-scale reproduction arrived in Plymouth Harbor, Mayflower 2. But they can't show us a full-scale reconstruction of a slave ship, huh? Okay.
Maria? Like, how far are we willing to go into denying our own history just to avoid acknowledging our painful past? Are we going to deny other people's history too? Oh,
how are we denying our painful past? Do some of us have ancestors who were enslaved? Yes. Were they Africans? No. They were indigenous people, destabilized, detribalized, and enslaved in place. And actually, a lot of us descend from people who were never enslaved at all. We look up our genealogy and we find ancestors with land patents, owning hundreds of thousands of acres of land and shit. I mean, not all of us even descend from slaves, but these pangoofies haven't even done their own family tree, but they're going to dictate genealogy to us.
But they don't want us to know who we truly are. That's why they keep it hidden. Then why is it that every pretendian is alive and well, but the scholars that taught us we were African are the ones that got unalive or silent?
No, Martin Luther King Jr. never taught us that we are African.
And
Malcolm X never promoted that we were African. Marcus Garvey did, and he was a convicted federal fraud, and he was deported from the United States and ended up dying in Europe. He was friends with the KKK and Walter Plecker and them. Yeah, what is he talking about?
Right.
What is
the
he
U.S. government is alive and well, but the scholars that taught us we were African are the ones that got unalive or silent. Are we going to deny other people's history too? Oh, but they don't want us to know who we truly are. That's why they keep it hidden. Then why is it that every pretendian is alive and well, but the
what? Maybe I'm alive and well because the government isn't really going around killing us in a conspiratorial fashion. In actuality, they've reclassified our ancestors, miseducated us K through 12 to the point where the average Black American isn't even going to do his genealogy, isn't even going to research his family's past and find their indigenous ancestry and then go through the process of obtaining, I put the big screen on you, so hold on, I'll put you on the spot. The average Black American isn't even going to trace their genealogy, isn't even going to trace their ancestral roots, isn't even knowledgeable about the process of obtaining tribal citizenship. So why would the U.S. government have to go around killing us when they've already done such a sufficient job miseducating us, reclassifying our ancestors to where we're not even going to look for these indigenous ancestors? We're not even going to look for these land patents. We're not going to look for these dolls roll applications. Hold on, y'all. I got to change the background blur. I do this for real. I'm a professional genealogist. I meet with hundreds of Black Americans and have hundreds of Black Americans that I've guided through genealogical research. Yeah, we're not even going to look for these documents proving that our ancestors owned how many acres on this ancestor? Is this how much? Hold on. Where was it? 80 acres for this one, huh? We're not even going to research and find that our ancestors were indigenous people that had over 80 acres given to that one. This one got allotted 80 acres as well, right? We're not even going to look for this because we're going to believe roots and believe this pan-African psyops, right? This ancestor got 160 acres of land, right? Okay. Federal paperwork we're looking at right here, right? We're not even going to do the digging. We're not even going to look for this because we've already been miseducated, reclassified, made victims of paper genocide. So why is he really going to try to promote some, oh, well, if the government didn't want you guys to know this and now you know this, then why aren't they killing you? The average Black American does not know this. The average Black American is still falling victim to the spirit of pan-Africanism. They still believe by default what we were taught in school about being West African slaves brought here in the belly of a slave ship. The average Black American is not on this indigenous wave. It's a growing movement. There's a lot of us realizing our ancestors passed down that oral tradition. A lot of us are realizing the evidence has always been right in front of us all along, but it's not like even 40% or 50 or 60% or 70% of the Black American population has researched their indigeneity. I'd conservatively say it's maybe like 15, 20% of us that are doing the digging, doing the research, know what's what. So again, for him to try to promote the claim that really promote the conspiracy, that the fact that we're alive and well means that there is no government conspiracy to keep us away from our true heritage. No, the evidence is in the reclassification of our ancestors. The evidence is that if you do your genealogy, I bet you $1,000 cash, you will find an ancestor who in the mid 1800s was reclassified to a mulatto, then by the late 1800s, early 1900s gets reclassified to Negro, and then their descendants get reclassified as Black, and in more recent years, African American to be exact. That's called reclassification. If we came from Africa, guess what? They would have called our ancestors African, and they would have never called them anything but African. And when they emancipated them, quote unquote, they would have left them alone. Do whatever you want. Pay your taxes. Be free. But wait a minute, if they're actually the true indigenous people, if they descend from the mound builders, the pyramid builders, who built a vast civilization all across the Americas, plural, well, then we're going to have to reclassify them as colored and Negro and mulatto and freedman and free person of color. And instead of just emancipating them and letting them be free, we've got to emancipate them and then steal their land and steal their wealth through the Freedmen's Bureau, or get some of them to relocate to Oklahoma and then steal their land and their wealth and their identity through the Dawes Commission. Oh, what's really going on, guys? If we were African, they would have called our ancestors African, and they would have never changed our racial classification every century or so. If we were African, it wouldn't take Jesse Jackson in 1988 for us to finally be called Africans for the first time. When the Spanish conquistadors came here and saw Black indigenous people, they literally called us negros de terras. That translates to blacks of this land. They used that as a differentiating term to separate us from the African slaves they would bring over, because they called us negros de terras, blacks of this land, and they called the Africans negros de Guinea, blacks of Africa. This is well documented. Look it up, y'all.
Yeah, you just said our life experience right there, Mike. We were taught the verbal heritage at home, and we also was taught the doctrine of the slave trade and how all Africans or all Black people came from off of those slave ships. And that's where our history and our heritage started, on those slave ships to those plantations. And
oh, wait, hold on. There's more, though. Star Child says they reclassified us so often to confuse us. Guys, I forgot one more thing. If we really descend from the pyramid building ancient indigenous people of the Americas, then guess what? Not only would they reclassify us and enslave us and massacre us and Jim Crow us and redline us and stuff, but you know what? If there was such evidence out there of our indigenous roots, then you know what they would really have to do? They would have to outlaw us reading and writing. If there's documents from the 1700s citing Black indigenous people, if I can pull up Spanish journals right now from the 1500s citing Black indigenous people in the Americas, then the only way they can really hide that history is if we can't read and we can't write. Guys, look it up. This is called the Philosophical and Antiquarian Aboriginal History of America. Let's do a little bit of reading, guys. Reading is oh so fundamental at the end of the day. Is it not?
butterfly in the sky. I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere. Friends to know and ways to grow, a reading rainbow. I can be anything. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. A reading rainbow. A reading rainbow. A reading rainbow. A reading rainbow.
Come on, y'all, let's get into it. Reading is oh so fundamental. It says right here, though America possesses some dark brown men approaching to be black, yet it has been almost universally believed that there were no Aboriginal blacks or Negroes found on this continent. But from considering the peculiar circumstances under which a black race was found in North America, I hold it more than probable that the common opinion is erroneous. So let's break that down in layman terms. They're saying, and they're referring to the 1500s, they're saying there's dark-skinned people, there's black people in the Americas, but we don't think they're indigenous. But wait, we did find a whole race of them in North America, so we were wrong. There are indigenous black people. You know, earlier the Pan Goofy was talking about Esteban the Moor or Estevas or some shit, right? We're going to get into that a little bit, that whole Moorish thing. Torquemada says, the Californians showed no manner of surprise at the sight of some Negroes that accompanied Vizcaino on a voyage to this coast. So the Spanish conquistadors are coming to the California coast, and they got Moorish Africans with them, rocking with them, working for them. And again, that Pan Goofy earlier said, take my word for it, bro. Indigenous people of America were so surprised to see Moorish black-skinned people. Well, let's read the actual text from the Spaniards who were there with the Moors on the California coast. It says the Californians showed no manner of surprise at the sight of some Negroes that accompanied Vizcaino on a voyage to this coast in 1602. Damn. He goes on to say, as I have never seen Torquemada's Monarquia Indiana, which is a book that Torquemada wrote, I can only quote from Venegas, California, who says from Torquemada that when a Negro was ordered to distribute some biscuit to the Californians at the Bay of St. Barnabas, quote, the natives seemed greatly pleased at the sight of the Negro, and they signified to him that they lived in a friendship and correspondence with the people of his color, and that not far from thence was a Negro village. This is 1602. Documentation from Spanish conquistadors. This is how you cite sources.
The receipts.
This is how you pull up receipts.
But what do you ladies think about this? I mean, black Indians don't exist, but they find in black Indians in the California coast in the 1600s. I mean, come on.
And too many of them said it. More than one, more than two, more than three. They all say we were here. They all have accounts of finding Native Black Americans here. So all that mess that everybody is talking, like you said, take a look. It's in a book. They just need to learn to read. And when he said that one comment about why are we all still living and well, they did take us out, unalive us in a sense by the paper genocide and the killing of the tongue and separating us from our culture, right? That is a form of unaliving when you do that to a person, causing the confusion and no identity. You get what I'm saying? And then that's when the indoctrination and assimilation comes. And, you know, we are who we are today, out of touch with our native roots. And, you know,
he's talking about why aren't they killing us? I guess he doesn't know about the Yamasi War of the early 1700s.
See, there it goes.
I guess he's never heard of that. Hold on, y'all. Take a look. It's in a book, The Reading Rainbow, right? This book I got from Chief Sekou of the Yamasi tribe. This book is called Yamasi Indians, Cultural Heritage and Practices. And right here on page, and this is how you know I'm serious about research. You got all these tabs up in here, okay? We got all these tabs. Let me come over to this one. Check it out. It says right here, page 18. In the early 18th century, the English established the colony of South Carolina on the territory of the Yamasi tribe. The colonists treated the Indians terribly. They stole their land and captured many Yamasi and sent them to the West Indies, where they were sold as slaves. By 1715, the Yamasi had had enough. They attacked the English and tried to drive them from their lands. Other Indians, including many Creek, joined in the fight. The English coaxed the Cherokee, who had a tense relationship with the Creek, to battle for their side. In the end, the English won, and the surviving Yamasi were forced to scatter and find new homes with other tribes. So when he says, oh, well, why are you guys alive? They've been killing Black Indians for a long, long time. Oh, I guess you never heard about the Tulsa massacre, huh? I guess you thought that those were Africans that got massacred in Tulsa. The city of Tulsa, that was in Indian territory. Oklahoma wasn't a state at that time. That's wild Indian territory. Have any of you guys stopped and asked yourself, how do these Black folks build all these successful cities in Indian territory? Because Black Wall Street was one of many. Greenwood was one of many. So how did these Black folks get this land, get the infrastructure to create these cities in Indian territory? Oh, those Black folks were indigenous. They got to Indian territory west of the Mississippi by walking the Trail of Tears. So when you hear about the Tulsa race massacre, that's Black indigenous massacre. When you look at this map right here of all these different massacres, right? When you look at these these are Black indigenous people that are being massacred. Look at the dates. Look at the areas. But he's going to talk about, oh, if you guys are really Black Indians, then why are you still alive? They've been killing us and enslaving us for a long time, lynching us, committing genocide, biological terrorism for a long time. Think about it. Now juxtapose this map of the Black massacres, and now let me show you a map of the Black indigenous tribes of the Southeast. Do you see any similarity? Oh, the same area of the U.S., the Southeast, that had all these Black indigenous people documented since the beginning of time. That's also where all the Black massacres take place. Oh, but he gonna talk about, oh, why aren't they killing you guys? They've been doing that for a long, long time. But what do you guys think?
Dummy.
You go ahead and unmute yourself.
He a dummy and he need to follow your page. That's what he need to do. He need to learn something, and he need to get a couple of the books that you're showing, and he needs to read before he open his mouth. Because look at all the receipts you just showed. Everything he just said, you basically showed how loud and how wrong he is. And now everybody gets to see how loud and wrong he is. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, for him to be a so-called Black man, he doesn't even look like he knows any of his heritage or his genealogy to begin with. Why he's sitting up here spewing this pan-Africanism. He may be from one of the tribes, and he's talking all this mess.
And this is why they don't have to kill us, because for all we know, he descends from Choctaw Indians, but he'll never even research it or get in touch with that because he believes in the spirit of Pan-Africanism. He's asleep in the matrix.
Mm-hmm. He needs to wake up. He's confused.
He has assimilated.
Mm-hmm. He has been assimilated by the Borg for sure.
And the psyops was so not Star Trek. She said by the Borg. Okay, I'm a Trekkie. Hey, nobody else got that reference. I got it. Hey, and it's so crazy because not only is he assimilated, but they're programmed. They've got a battery placed in their back to now, just like, Agent Smith in the Matrix. What was it, Matrix 2, where he starts cloning himself? He stick his hand in somebody and they become one of him, right? That's how these Pan-Africans is running around. If they see any sign of somebody waking up, resisting, getting in touch with our indigenous roots, we're Wabos, we're Pretendians, we're ashamed to be African.
Mm-hmm. I'm not ashamed to be African. I'm not African. Show me, prove to me that I'm African. Stop telling me hearsay when I can read for myself and I see all the evidence says that I'm native. It's all the evidence is right here in my face, and it says right here that I'm Native. Now, they teach you in school to do an educated guess, to find and research all the facts on your own. And so far, all the facts line up to say, I am Native. It does not say that I'm African. This country is the only one that makes you prove that you're Native. It don't ever make you prove that you're African. But for them to tell me that I'm African, I want them to write it down on paper. I need them to go find the ancestors, do the genealogy. I want them to pull it up because I can't find that. All I find is Creek and Choctaw so far. I ain't found not one African, not one.
Hey, and they really can't use the "we're ashamed to be African" thing, because when we were lulled to sleep with the spirit of pan-Africanism, we went all in on it. February, we was rocking ankhs and dashikis, and you can't say we were ashamed to be African when we believed that was our story. We was watching Roots and Kuta Kinte and all that shit. We were proud to be African Americans.
We were wearing dashiki robes for our graduations, all type of stuff to celebrate the heritage, but it still wasn't respected.
Right now, in a box put up in the garage, I still got the little kente cloth thing that they put around you when you graduate, along with your regular school colors. They put it around over your robe. I still got that in there, and I still got it for all my kids. I got it from when I graduated college and when my kids got out of junior high and high school. I believe like they got like two of them each. We was learning Kwanzaa and learning to do the African dances out here in school. They wanted to teach us all about Africa, and we was all for it. A couple of us, my high school even changed our name from our BSU club. We changed it back then when they changed our names to African American. We changed our BSU club at Mission High School in San Francisco, California, to African American Student Association instead of BSU. We was down for it. This is what they told us we was. But now all the information is right here at our fingertips. We was proud to say, oh, we African.
We was learning about Nubians and Egyptians and all kinds of stuff, and South African apartheid. Hey, not only did they place our scholarship, our genealogy, in a place we've never been, our ancestors never been, but they had us feeding false gods. They had us placing our spiritual beliefs in a system that is not ours. Guys, when I was renditioned by the spirit of pan-Africanism, I was getting down with the African Orishas and everything. Ogun, Oshun, Ilegba, Baba Yaga. But just imagine on a metaphysical tip how powerful it is for your enemy to take your spiritual energy and have it placed in a container that is foreign to you. Just like how they converted our indigenous ancestors to Catholics or Christians, and then they spawned their African Methodist Episcopal churches, and the Black American community still can't get rid of Christendom to this day, right? So you see how they also have to take our indigenous spiritual system and separate us from it.
It makes you weak as a people when you cannot pray to your own ancestors and when you cannot practice your own spirituality. And how we are, we're close with nature. We're one with the animals. We're one with God. We have a certain way of how we live. And when you break a people from that, and then you teach them and show them all this violence and all this savagery, they tend to imitate that and become the same thing that you are and live like that too. And that's all that the oppressors have shown the people, is the savagery, the colonization, the taking over, the fighting with one's brother, because their gods and stuff off over there was what, the god of war and all that kind of stuff. The what's his name, Odin and all them up over there, the Norse gods or whatever, all of them. And they always starting a war, so they always doing their sacrifices and all that kind of stuff to their gods and everything. Got us practicing all these pagan holidays with Easter and Christmas, and none of that stuff ours. I did not know not one of ours, not one holiday, not one festival for us. And that is sad. And see, that's another reason why they owe us some reparations. They owe us No, you called it something else. What did you call it? Not reparations. You called it
rectification.
Rectification. That's the correct word for it, and that's the word I'm gonna start using too. Rectification, because that's more powerful than any reparations, for them to rectify some shit and atone for some shit and just get it right. If they want all this stuff that they so-called can't stand, when they try to take our words, calling it black fatigue, they tired of hearing us complain or state our grievances, then they need to fix it and you won't hear it. Apologize and make it right. But they refuse to apologize and they refuse to make it right, and they want to keep on with this Borg assimilation. No more. You don't want to fix it, we gonna fix it ourselves, and here we go fixing it. We waking it up and it's finna get fixed one way or another.
I agree, sister. The disconnection with our spirituality, our identities, and our ancestors, the disconnect is the reason why our people are lost right now. Yes. We've been basically honoring and idolizing gods that are not ours, looking for answers that are not going to be, asking for miracles that are not going to be answered. He's not, their God is not our God. Our own religions, our own deities, and our own spirituality, and it's one with this earth, and they took that away from us because it shows a power. Our vibration that we have with the earth and the animals is something that they were very, very jealous of. The way we were able to allow to live at one with nature and not destroy. And what we killed, we used every bit and bone of it and made sure that it had a purpose, and we gave back to the land. So it's those things that they took away from our people, and they created something that, has to be controlled. A lot of our people need to wake up and get back to who they truly are, and actually look for their ancestors and ask for their ancestors' help, because right now they have been led astray to that Christianity. And I'm just fortunate that I didn't fall for that loop, the false prophets. Yeah. It's sad that a lot of our people are going over there and being led astray, just like this Pan Goofy up here spewing all the nonsense and stuff. And he's leading people astray. He's sending them in the wrong direction. Ain't no telling how many people is listening to him and believe in him and not even trying to go find out who they really are, who your ancestors is. It's sad. It's a sad case. But I'm lucky that we bumped into Mike. I'm lucky that we found his channel. Mr. No Sleep, and that he let us do a consultation with him, and he's leading us in the right way with our genealogy and with our tribal citizenship and everything. The best thing that could have ever happened to me and my sister and the rest of our family was bumping into this channel right here and meeting Mike. And I tell you that. And I just had to say that real quick because it just popped in my mind. I'm sorry. I ain't trying to put you on the spot, but I'm just trying to give flowers to where flowers is due. And you do a whole bunch of flowers, because I tell you, boy, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to me, is finding out my ancestry and knowing who I am. It still got me smiling every day. Every day I'm walking around smiling. Shit, I'm a Muskogee Creek around this motherfucker. Go pop my collar, feel me?
Hey, go ahead. I feel it. Well, hey, we're gonna wrap up this broadcast. When this broadcast ends, don't go anywhere, guys. It's automatically gonna push everybody to the next live stream. I also just queued up a live stream on TikTok, so we're gonna be live on TikTok and YouTube on the next one. So let's go ahead and provide some closing remarks real quick, and then we'll segue into the next broadcast. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Like Mike said earlier in the show, the Grand Awakening has happened. It started, and we are going through that process right now. Let your friends know, your family members know that, there is a way to research and look up your lineage. You can always go to nativeblack.ancestry.com if you need help. But it's one of those things that is so empowering. So I advise all you that think that you just came from Africa and, but you were told by your grandparents or parents that you have Native in your bloodline. Do the research, look it up. It's not going to hurt you. It might hurt some Pan-Africans, but it won't hurt you to find who you are. And good night, everyone. Let's not go into the next show.
Well, hey, I couldn't have said it better myself. How about you, Empress? What's on your mind?
I double that what Sis said. And also, I wanted to let everybody know that it's very important, again, to do your genealogy. And I'm advising everybody to hook up with Mike and get that appointment and learn your genealogy, find your history. Don't listen to the pan goofies. Don't listen to the naysayers, just anybody. Don't let nobody tell you nothing. Go research and find out for yourself. Find out who you are, find out who your ancestors are, and then make the decision for yourself if you want to still be pan goofy or if you want to be Native and stand on the soil and respect your ancestors that are truly your ancestors and not somebody else that's way across the ocean that ain't got nothing to do with you. Also, what I want everybody to do is stand on it. If you know you NBA, don't let nobody sway you different. Don't let nobody make you feel like you're stealing somebody's identity, because this identity is yours by birth. This is your identity. You're not stealing, you're not taking, you're not erasing anybody. You are waking up and you are saying that we're still here and we're always going to be here and we're not going nowhere. And my advice to you is to wake everyone around you up. Spread the word. Let everybody know who they are and what to do. And if you're already on your genealogy adventure, going through your journey already, spread the word, share the news. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to wake up. This is the time for us all to come together, state who we are, apply for our citizenship, and to come together as one so we can be vocal about who we are, what we need, and what we want, because the Republican Party ain't doing it for us and the Democratic Party ain't doing it for us. And we need to come together, eventually get our own party and do this for ourselves. So my advice to you guys, please, I'm asking everybody, share the word. And if you can, and if they're still a non-believer, direct them over here. Let them watch a couple of videos. Show them a couple of inserts out some books. Spark their curiosity. Let them know and don't stop. Keep on with it. With everybody. Whoever wants to listen. Whoever opens their ears or even come back, say, I know I was ignoring you last time, but what was that you were saying about NBA? Yeah. Well, can you give me some information? Come on, y'all. We got to get it together. NBA proud and strong. Let's go.
You're on mute, Mike.
TikTok heard me at least. Now, so for the folks watching on YouTube, as soon as this broadcast ends, don't go anywhere. There's going to be a 10-second countdown or so after the outro, and it'll automatically push you into the next broadcast. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We'll see you in just a moment. Stay put.
They don't want you to remember this. You not no slave, you indigenous. Fuck how they painted them Indians. You went to war with the French and the British men. Quite frankly, you was kings, Merovingians. They took the women and men, made them prisoners, raised up the children to worship their images, set up a lab to the genes and they mixed them. And this shit get way deeper than your pigment.